Shut up and win. In a world intoxicated by ceaseless communication, where every thought is broadcast, every emotion laid bare, and every plan trumpeted for validation, we've forsaken a timeless and formidable weapon, strategic silence. While the masses drown in their own verbosity, posting, debating, confessing, the Stoic stands resolute, wielding silence as both a fortress and a blade. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who ruled amid chaos, yet penned meditations in quiet reflection, embodied this truth. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength, he wrote, a subtle nod to the idea that words often distort reality, while silence preserves its essence. Seneca, another Stoic luminary, echoed this. We suffer more in imagination than in reality, suggesting that much of our pain and weakness stems from what we needlessly say. In our modern era, where social media amplifies every whisper into a shout, and transparency is mistaken for virtue, those who master strategic silence don't merely shield their inner peace, they outmaneuver the talkers, securing victory, while others exhaust themselves in the futile clamor of self-expression. The Stoic doesn't compete for attention. They command it through restraint, proving that true power lies not in noise, but in the deliberate absence of it. The cost of unnecessary speech. Aurelius governed an empire where a single careless word could ignite rebellion or invite assassination. Yet even in our less treacherous times, unnecessary speech remains a self-imposed vulnerability. Seneca, who navigated the treacherous courts of Nero, warned, "What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears." A stark reminder that life's brevity demands discipline, not the squandering of breath on trivialities. Yet those who speak without pause fling open the gates of their soul, inviting scrutiny, judgment, and exploitation while gaining nothing in return. Every word you utter carries a hidden cost that silence deftly avoids. First, speech forges chains of commitment. When you declare your intentions, whether a bold plan at work, a personal goal shared with friends, or a promise made in haste, you tether yourself to others' expectations. Shift course as wisdom demands, and they label you fickle or untrustworthy. Cling to your words out of pride, and you sacrifice reason for appearances. The things you think about determine the quality of your mind, Aurelius wrote. Why then pollute it with the burden of public promises? Silence, by contrast, grants you liberty, the freedom to pivot, to reflect, to act as virtue and circumstance dictate, unencumbered by the weight of prior declarations. Second, speech exposes the machinery of your mind. The more you explain, your reasoning, your doubts, your hopes, the more you reveal not just your plans, but the very limits of your intellect and resolve. Each sentence becomes a thread others can pull to unravel your strategy, predict your moves, or exploit your weaknesses. Epictetus, the former slave who rose to philosophical greatness, taught, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." The compulsive talker hands their adversaries a blueprint to their psyche, every justification a clue, every outburst a confession. Imagine a general who narrates his battle plan before the fight, or a merchant who reveals his bottom line before the haggling begins. Their defeat is assured. Silence, however, keeps your counsel close, a stoic shield against those who would turn your words into weapons. Third, and perhaps most damning, excessive speech erodes your dignity and authority. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one, Aurelius urged, a call to let actions, not words, define you. The leader who justifies every decision, the friend who narrates every mundane detail, the colleague who fills every silence with chatter, they all diminish themselves, becoming ordinary in the eyes of others. Familiarity breeds contempt, and verbosity strips away the mystique that commands respect. Seneca noted, "Light griefs are loquacious, but the great are dumb." True strength lies in restraint, not in the need to be heard. Picture the politician who responds to every critic scrambling to defend their honor. They shrink with each retort. Contrast this with the figure who speaks only when necessary, their silence a testament to unshakable resolve. In our world, the costs are clear. The coworker who dominates meetings with irrelevant tangents loses influence. The social media oversharer becomes a caricature, not a mystery. The negotiator who babbles through pauses cedes power. The leader who over-explains invites doubt. The Stoics would see our culture's addiction to constant expression not as honesty, but as a failure of self-mastery, a voluntary surrender of strength for the fleeting approval of the crowd. The three types of strategic silence. Stoic silence is not a passive retreat, it is an active discipline, a practice of virtue honed by purpose and intent. Its three distinct forms reveal its depth and utility, each a tool for navigating life's challenges with wisdom. The first is information-gathering silence. Seneca advised, "Let silence be your goal for the most part. Say only what is necessary, and in few words." A principle rooted in the Stoic belief that understanding precedes action. The fool speaks rashly, spilling their thoughts and intentions while remaining ignorant of others' minds. The wise hold their tongue, letting the world unfold before them. This creates a powerful asymmetry. While others reveal their desires, fears, and miscalculations, you amass insight without exposing your own position. In negotiations, this is the timeless axiom that the first to speak loses. Why declare your terms when you can first probe your opponent's limits? Picture two merchants haggling. One boasts of his ware's value, while the other listens, noting every hint of desperation. Who prevails? In relationships, the friend who listens silently to a rant grasps the speaker's true feelings, anger masking hurt, bravado hiding fear, while the talker remains oblivious to their own depths. In competition, those who announce their strategies invite countermeasures, while the silent plot their moves in shadow. Know first, then act. Epictetus might counsel, silence is the Stoic's gateway to clarity, a deliberate pause that turns observation into advantage. The second is authority-building silence. The Stoics knew that influence rests not in volume, but in perception, and restraint amplifies it tenfold. Be silent as to services you have rendered, but speak of favors you have received. Epictetus taught, a lesson in humility and reserve that elevates your standing. When a leader speaks only on matters of true weight, ignoring petty squabbles or minor provocations, their words carry the force of thunder. When someone brushes aside trivial criticism without reply, they radiate a confidence that words could never convey. Consider the junior employee who over-explains every task, desperate to prove their worth. Their voice fades into noise. Now imagine the seasoned elder who states their conclusion and lets it stand, unadorned by justification. Their presence commands attention. The insecure ramble to defend their every choice, the secure let their deeds suffice. The anxious react to every slight, scrambling to appease. The steady engage only when reason demands it. The less you say, the more you are heard, Seneca might observe. This is why the most formidable figures in history, from generals to philosophers, spoke sparingly but with purpose. In a boardroom, the executive who pontificates loses gravitas, while the one who offers a single measured sentence shapes the room. Silence, in the Stoic view, is not weakness. It is the bedrock of authority, a quiet assertion of inner strength. Want to master silence as the Stoics did? Hit subscribe now. The third is ambiguity-preserving silence. Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart, Aurelius wrote. Yet he understood that premature clarity can ensnare you in rigid paths. By withholding, you allow others to project their own meanings onto your silence, preserving your freedom to act as virtue and reason dictate. Politicians wield this masterfully, crafting vague promises that different factions interpret as they wish. One hears reform, another stability, yet the speaker commits to neither until the moment demands it. Negotiators gain by dodging firm stances too early. Imagine a buyer who hints at interest without naming a price, letting the seller guess and overreach. Leaders inspire by sketching a vision, say a thriving community, without dictating every step, leaving room for fate and ingenuity to shape the outcome. This isn't deceit. It's the Stoic art of focusing solely on what you control, your intent, while letting the uncontrollable unfold. Say little, do much. Epictetus might advise, silence keeps your options fluid, your allies hopeful, and your adversaries uncertain. In personal life, consider the friend who shares every plan in detail. When plans shift, trust erodes. Contrast this with one who expresses a goal but keeps the how vague. They adapt without apology. Ambiguity, wielded wisely, is a Stoic strength, a refusal to be pinned down by the whims of the moment. The psychological power of silence. Beyond its tactical applications, Stoic silence exerts a profound psychological force that words can never replicate, rooted in the interplay of human nature and perception. First, it creates projection spaces. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them. Epictetus taught, a truth that silence exploits. When you hold your tongue, others rush to fill the void with their own assumptions, fears, or desires, revealing their inner world while you remain a cipher. Skilled interrogators know this. A suspect, faced with silence, babbles to ease the tension, spilling secrets no question could extract. In negotiations, the party that endures a pause often wins. The other, unnerved, offers concessions unprompted. Picture a tense family dinner. One member stays quiet amid the arguing, and soon the others project motives, guilt, disdain, wisdom onto them, each guess a mirror of the speaker's own heart. Silence, in the Stoic view, turns others into unwitting confessors, their words a gift to your understanding. Second, it establishes dominance in the dance of communication. The one who speaks less, or waits to speak, assumes the role of arbiter, not petitioner. If you wish to be heard, be silent, Seneca might suggest. The restrained command respect where the verbose chase it. In a job interview, the candidate who asks thoughtful questions outshines the one who recites their resume at length. The former seems discerning, the latter desperate. In conflict, the person who listens fully before replying, rather than interrupting with defenses, projects calm authority, their silence a subtle rebuke to the other's noise. At a meeting, the loudest voice may grab attention, but the quiet one who speaks last, after all have revealed their stances, often sways the outcome. This aligns with the Stoic ideal of self-sufficiency. By refusing to seek approval through speech, you claim a higher ground, your restraint a signal of inner strength. Third, it creates mystique, amplifying your perceived power. The best answer to anger is silence, Aurelius wrote. What remains unsaid looms larger than what's exposed, cloaking you in an aura of depth. The leader who shares every thought demystifies their role, inviting others to see themselves as equals. The one who reveals only conclusions, keeping their deliberations private, seems to wield a wisdom beyond reach. Think of a teacher who explains every lesson exhaustively. Students tune out, assuming they grasp it all. Contrast this with one who offers a cryptic insight and stops. Students ponder, debate, and elevate the teacher in their minds. In personal life, the friend who overshares every struggle becomes predictable, their power to surprise or inspire lost. The one who hints at resilience without details retains an enigmatic strength. Light griefs are loquacious, but the great are dumb, Seneca observed. Silence in the Stoic tradition is the mark of a soul too vast to be fully known, a presence that commands awe without effort. The dangerous allure of transparency. Our modern culture fetishizes transparency, hailing it as an unqualified good while casting silence as suspect or aloof. Be authentic, we're urged. Share your truth. Communicate openly. Yet the Stoics would recoil at this gospel of exposure. The life of man is of no greater duration than the breath of his nostrils, Seneca warned. Why waste it on words that serve no purpose? Transparency binds you to the fleeting passions of the moment, chaining your future to declarations that may no longer fit. The Stoics didn't advocate deceit. They spoke when reason and virtue demanded, not when impulse or societal pressure beckoned. Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens, Epictetus taught. Words should advance your purpose, not tether you to others' whims. This obsession with openness manifests everywhere. In workplaces, it's the impulse to share half-baked ideas in meetings, exposing your uncertainty before you've honed your thoughts, or to reveal your negotiating stance before gauging the other side's limits. In relationships, it's the premature confession of feelings, the unnecessary recounting of past mistakes, or the detailed mapping of plans still subject to fate's caprice. Imagine a manager who narrates every doubt to their team. Trust erodes as confidence wanes. Or a lover who spills every fear before trust is built. Intimacy falters under the weight of exposure. To the Stoics, this isn't authenticity. It's a lapse in reason, a failure to guard the inner citadel. What need is there to show a thing? Let it show itself, Aurelius might say. True strength reveals itself in action, not in the clamor of self-disclosure. Practical application. The discipline of silence. How can Stoic silence reshape our modern lives? It's not about becoming mute, but about speaking only when it aligns with reason, virtue, and purpose, a discipline rare in our noisy age. First, practice information asymmetry. Before voicing your position on any matter of consequence, seek to understand others first. Ask questions, probing, patient, deliberate, and listen not just to their words, but to the silences between them, the hesitations that betray intent. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. Seneca might adapt. Be the fox who discerns the snares before the lion who roars his defiance. In negotiations, this means letting your counterpart reveal their ceiling or floor while you hold your cards close. At work, it's knowing your colleagues' grievances or ambitions before committing to a stance, avoiding needless friction. In life, it's observing the currents of a room before wading in. This builds a quiet leverage, a stoic edge born of patience. Second, cultivate strategic ambiguity when clarity would prematurely limit your path. A prince should be slow to believe and to act, nor should he himself show fear. Aurelius wrote, "Preserve your freedom by refusing to be pinned down." In leadership, articulate a vision, say a thriving team, without dictating every step, leaving space for adaptation and fate. In relationships, express commitment to shared values, loyalty, growth, while keeping the how fluid, unburdened by rigid promises. In competition, hint at your strengths without unveiling your full strategy, keeping rivals off balance. Picture a coach who outlines a goal, victory, but keeps the playbook vague. The team rallies, the opponent flounders. This isn't evasion. It's the Stoic art of controlling your intent while surrendering the uncontrollable to reason's flow. Third, embrace silence as a power position. Most people dread quiet, rushing to fill it with noise. Train yourself to revel in it. In negotiations, state your terms and let the pause linger, forcing the other side to squirm or concede. In conflict, hear criticism fully, even venomous barbs, before replying. You're calm a rebuke to their heat. In leadership, deliver decisions without excess justification, trusting their merit to stand. Silence is a lesson learned through life's many sufferings, Seneca wrote. It's a forge that tempers the soul. Imagine a debate. One side shouts, the other waits, then speaks once decisively. The latter wins not by volume but by weight. This discipline turns silence into a stoic stronghold, a space where others falter and you prevail. The strategic whisper, stoic silence, isn't about never speaking. It's about ensuring every word serves reason, not passion, and every pause advances your purpose. What you leave out is as important as what you include. Aurelius might muse. The master of this art creates a stark contrast between revelation and restraint. In a world where most bare their souls, tweeting every whim, debating every slight, confessing every doubt, the Stoics' measured words strike like lightning. Their silence stirs curiosity. Their influence swells through discipline. This requires virtues rare today, the patience to listen before speaking, even when the urge to retort burns. The restraint to withhold, even when disclosure promises temporary relief. The wisdom to discern when silence outshines speech, a judgment owned by reflection. These traits don't come naturally in a culture that rewards noise and equates volume with value, but they grant an edge precisely because they're uncommon. The final irony? Those who excel at stoic silence often go unnoticed. We fixate on the loud, the brash, the transparent, while the masters of restraint achieve their ends without fanfare. Marcus Aurelius, despite his imperial might, is remembered not for proclamations, but for quiet introspections, proof that influence needn't shout. His name evokes wisdom, not bombast, a testament to silence's enduring power. In our age of information overload, opinion saturation, and compulsive sharing, Stoic silence offers a counterintuitive path to mastery. Say less, observe more, act with purpose, and let your results drown out the din. In the endless contest for control, meaning, and triumph, those who shut up and win don't just endure, they prevail. Their victory's a whisper that echoes louder than any roar.